Apple has just announced the new iPhone 13, and just like every single iteration before this one, they are heavily pushing the new camera features specifically for video that come with the new iPhone, with things like recording in Pro-rata Raw and also the new cinematic mode, which allows you to pull focus on a subject as a traditional rack focus, and you can even do that in post. And I have already seen so many wars being waged in the comment section of videos about the new iPhone, on Reddit, and in Facebook groups about videography. And when I say that filmmakers hate the new iPhone, what I really mean is insecure filmmakers. Let me explain. I always get a chuckle out of the comments you see online or questions when people ask, "I'm new, what camera should I buy?" And the truth is, in 2021, there are no bad cameras anymore. Every single new camera that comes out, whether it's from Sony or Canon or Fuji or Nikon or even the new Apple iPhone, will produce a better image than cameras from even 5 or 10 years ago. And above everything else, the biggest change is how easy it is to get a good image out of these cameras. So before, when you had to have an in-depth knowledge about how cameras work and lighting, all of that stuff still matters, but it's easier than ever to pull out your iPhone or even pull out the new A7S III, which I'm shooting in auto mode right now, and get a good looking image out of it. Now, is it going to look as good as if I was shooting in full manual or if I was using a tool really made for expert filmmaking? Well, no, if you know how to use those tools, you can get even more out of them, but it makes it easier for someone with less knowledge on how to get a good image to produce a high quality image that's good enough for most use cases. And I think that's why some filmmakers are worried about these types of products. They're worried that it's going to devalue their knowledge. And you know what? You're probably right. If you're worried about a kid with an iPhone stealing business from you or one-upping you or making you look bad, you probably have an issue with what you're doing. If you've spent all your time and energy and money on getting nice gear and learning how to use it, you're missing a big part of the picture, pun intended. There is so much more to photography, videography, and filmmaking than just image quality. And while you can make a budget camera look good by knowing how to use lighting, the truth is automation in cameras is coming. The high quality image at a push of a button is coming. It's basically already here. And while we see automation taking over jobs in other industries, the same thing is going to happen with cameras. But there's so much more to videography and photography and filmmaking than just image quality. There's storytelling, narrative, continuity. There's customer and client experience. There's dialogue. There's making someone feel confident and beautiful on camera in the case of photography. All of those things are extremely important. When I go to a paid videography shoot for a small business, I, of course, want them to be happy with the final product, but I don't just want to have a flashy or sexy or cool ad. I want an ad that converts into more business for them. So in order to do that, I have to understand the needs of that business. I have to understand the obstacles of that business. I have to look under the hood and get a feel for what their customers are looking for, what's going to convey the right message that they want. There's so many talented people out there that can make a flashy ad or a really cool edit, but is that really going to get them more customers? That's the question you always have to ask. When it comes to narrative work, it's all about the direction of the story, the continuity of the edit, getting the most out of your talent on screen. All of those things are what make the biggest difference, not the quality of the image itself. While that can be a part of it, that's not the whole piece. The same thing goes with photography. It's not just a matter of knowing how to take a technically good photo. And I think that's a big problem in photography. You have a lot of people who take technically good photos. The exposure is correct. The composition is not bad. The composition may be standard. The lighting is right, but the image just is lifeless. Well, why is that? When I go to a paid photography gig and I'm taking portraits of somebody, I want them to feel good about themselves. I want them to walk away from that photo shoot having enjoyed the experience and be happy with the final product. So that is the strengths that you really should be focusing on. So if you're worried about a kid with an iPhone, that tells me that you have a bigger issue with your business. You should be excited about the fact that the new tools hitting the market make it easier for us to do our job. Who cares if that brings more people into the field? I think that's a good thing. Competition is a good thing. Take a look at this street portrait that I did the other day. I must have accidentally hit the internal ND filter button on my Fuji X100V. And when I took this photo, clearly extremely underexposed. But because this camera's dynamic range is so good, I'm able to recover this underexposed image into a usable image. Now, is it amazing? No, but if I was in a pinch and I had to use this photo, I could. And this is on basically what's a point and shoot camera. This pales in comparison to the dynamic range of something like the Sony A7 series or even the Canons. Take, for example, a photographer like Henri Cartier-Bresson, one of the most famous and influential photographers of the 20th century. We're talking about a guy who only shot on 35mm film, pretty much only shot with a 50mm lens, always shot at 1/125th of a second, and always shot with a Leica body. He essentially had one tool, very rarely changed anything about the settings or the setup, and he produced some of the most iconic images of the last century. And why is that? Why are his photos so prominent and so revered? Well, if you read any interview with him, he always talks about the importance of composition. He always talks about how he would just frame a composition and wait for something to happen, and how composition was the most important thing. He hated talking about gear. He hated talking about settings. And if you listen to a lot of people talk about why his photography was so great, they bring up the same thing. His compositions were just phenomenal. That goes to show you why the things that technology are taking over are not the most important facets of the filmmaking or photography process. Now, you could argue that maybe at some point AI is going to be able to write better scripts than a true writer could, but I don't think we're going to get there, or if we do, probably not in our lifetime. So you need to focus on the things that really are going to make you stand out as a content creator, whether you're a photographer, filmmaker, documentarian, or you work business to business, create advertisements, whatever it is you do it because you want to be in this creative field, and technology cannot trump your creativity. Personally, I would love to have a tool like the iPhone 13 in my pocket, something that I could have on me all the time and get some high quality video in a pinch and add to video with my real cameras and not have it stand out like a sore thumb. I think it's a great tool, and if you're worried about the iPhone 13, it's time to take a selfie and look inward at what's going on with you. So just a quick note, guys, welcome to Visualosophy, our channel. This was not intended to be our first video, but I did want to capitalize on this news that was coming out. Obviously, this is a trending topic. If I make this video in a week or 2 weeks, it's not really gonna get anywhere because people are gonna be on to the next thing. But I just wanted to get this off my chest. This channel is all about visual philosophers like you and me. So if you enjoy telling stories or exploring your own creativity through the mediums of photography and videography, this channel is for you. We have a lot of great content planned. We are building up content to be released very soon, but I wanted to capitalize on this. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you in the next video.